Hey, so I told a friend lately that most of my work these days is just feeling my feelings, which sounds pretty simple, um, but it actually took me quite a lot to get to a point where I could do this, where it could just become part of everyday life and not like, therapy and work and keeping track of parts and everything else. And I just want to talk a little bit about how I got to this place, which is a really, really relaxing place compared to where I used to be. Um, so Angelo made a video today, I believe, released a video today or yesterday about how, you know, when you let go of thoughts, um, he said, what's left? Well, it's a mystery, but it's also reality. And I commented, it's so floaty now, but for so long, anytime I let go of thoughts, what happened was that the body started pushing all its trauma up to the surface. So it felt unbearably heavy. Not just heavy, but lots of things like hot, not physically hot, but like a kind of energetic burning. Yeah, I don't know, like I don't know how to describe it, but it's something that like it makes you immediately like nope, back up into the thoughts. Um, I had to do a lot of trauma work to feel safe enough to let go of thoughts. It's still a work in progress, but so much easier than it was 2 or 3 years ago. Now, when trauma comes to the surface, most of the time, I welcome it and feel it fully. Kiss the toad, as Rupert Spira puts it. It always transforms. Maybe not right away, but I keep at it. And I feel more and more empty. In a good way, a floaty way, a way where anything seems possible, and that's no longer completely terrifying. And one of the main ways that I got to this point was doing IFS, internal family systems therapy, intensively for about 2.5 years. Um, and trying many other modalities along the way. I mean, some more than others. It's not like I couldn't have a therapist from every different kind of modality. So some of them were kind of on my own. Um, but IFS, um, yeah, what I learned about it, among other things, is that there are people who spend years in their heads talking with parts, and some progress can be made on the relative level. And it's certainly better than like top down approaches like CBT, which are basically repressive. It's just like, oh, think differently, and then like as if that's gonna, it might manage your everyday life to some extent, but it's not gonna heal your trauma, in my opinion. At least in IFS, the parts can talk. Even if you're not doing somatic stuff, at least the parts can talk. Um, but if you do stay in the head and neglect the body, there's only so much progress you can make, because the true felt sense of trauma is stored in the body. Um, like if people don't have too much trauma, or they're content to sort of repress themselves for life, maybe that's enough. But for me, I knew that it was never going to work. Um, Meanwhile, there are bottom up approaches, which means like let the body lead, some of which are almost entirely or purely in the body. Um, and this is where trauma can actually be healed. But for many people, including me, the body was far too scary of a place for me to access directly until after I'd done a lot of IFS work, a lot of it in the head, to be honest. Um, but the nice thing about IFS is that at its best, it's both top down, uncovering thoughts, beliefs, and stories, and so on, and bottom up. A good session begins with feeling into the body, and a good unburdening is a deeply somatic experience. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've seen people go around and around in their heads for years, and like their whole personality becomes IFS. And if that works for you, fine. But it wasn't going to work for me. It was just gonna be another bunch of unsatisfying thoughts. Maybe more satisfying than before, but not what I actually needed. Um, and by now I feel like I've graduated from IFS. It's like I can still use it occasionally. It's just like a tool in my toolbox, which is nice. but it's not my main modality of healing anymore. There's enough safety in the system now that I can access the body directly and just feel deeply into whatever feeling comes up that feels like resistance or trauma. If stories or beliefs come up, maybe it's fine. But I no longer, it's rare now that I have long conversations with protectors and exiles and all that kind of stuff. That's not the main way that I process trauma. But yeah, I'm grateful for IFS for getting me to this point. And I feel like it might be, like some years of that sort of asymptotic integration of stored trauma. But it's like it's fine. It's like life is already extremely different than it was before, and the healing is kind of snowballing in a way because of the direct access that I have, and it doesn't feel so much like work anymore. It's just integrated into everyday life, and the non-dual path has helped as well, but it's not for everyone and not necessary for very deep healing. Yeah, so what does it look like? It's like whatever comes up in an everyday. I mean, it could be triggered by something, or it could just come up, right? Something that feels heavy or dense or corrosive or abrasive or like dreadful. I'm feeling something in the heart right now. I don't know what it is, but it feels kind of like, that feeling of sort of, for some reason it reminds me of that way that when you push two magnets together, they repel each other. That's that feeling that's in my heart right now. Don't know what that means, no idea. But the point is, whatever it is, I go as deeply as I can into it, like deeper and deeper. I let it get bigger and bigger if it wants. I let it morph if it wants. I'm not anticipating anything that's crucial. I'm like, okay, I want it to resolve. When's it going to resolve? It doesn't work. Or it might, but it's like, it's not the point. I mean, you might get lucky, but that's not. How do you say? Not what I recommend. I don't want to talk about like proper way to do things, but it feels like it's the more reliably fruitful way to do things. But yeah, somebody talked once about like, I drink fear, and it's kind of like that, like you're becoming this sensation or emotion, and just you're devouring it, it's devouring you. I don't know what it is, but it can be so difficult at first because there's some resistance often. But allow the resistance. Maybe there's frustration comes, allow the frustration. Maybe there's boredom comes, allow the boredom. Maybe some like, when is this going to end? Allow that, and just like devour it all. Just let it all be here, be what it wants to be. Rupert Spira talks about kissing the toad. Like do what you least want to do, feel what you least want to feel, and see how it transforms. And even just now, this thing in my chest, it's coming back a little bit. I might not do the whole thing on camera, but yeah, it's almost like a game now. It's like, ooh, some heaviness. Let's go there. See what that is. See what it's like. Ooh, that's like a magnet trying to. That's interesting. What's that? And you just never know, because it always does eventually transform. And then if there's fear about it, that's fine too. Fear is the portal to the magician, the transformation. So fear, I mean, you don't necessarily need to do anything about fear. It's just another arising. You can sit here and just feel terror course through your system. And it's like, I don't know, it's like getting rained on or something. It's not going to hurt you. It's just something happening. Another sensation. there's some understanding in the mind based on past experiences and based on, I guess, some spiritual insight that there really is nothing to fear at the end of the day. I think that makes it easier. But even if you still take fear seriously, and this is a different fear than like, okay, you notice a cheetah's, over here stalking you. That's a different kind of fear. I'm talking about like this sort of existential body fear unrelated to what's materially going on around you. The body fear, the fear of the cheetah is there for a reason. You know, heed it, feel that too, see what it's telling you maybe, but that's a sort of a different subject. This is more like, yeah, existential fear. I've never heard of somebody actually spontaneously combusting from an emotion, the emotion itself. Yeah, and I feel more and more unified as time goes on. There was a time when I was keeping track of like dozens of parts, right? And I was like, this is not sustainable. This is exhausting, and I still, if a part comes up, I'll still honor it, but I'm not keeping track of dozens of them. Like I'm done with that. I feel more and more unified, more and more empty in a good way. Like life has a lightness, like I said, and is full of possibilities. Totally flying blind, but that's not anything new. The only thing that's new is I'm not pretending that I'm not flying blind. I feel like I'm growing into an adult who doesn't need to be soothed or managed for the most part. Like if something really difficult happens, of course, I might find someone to co-regulate with if that's available. That's nice when it is. Or I may put my hands on my heart and hold a very young part who's expressing at a given time. And then, of course, circling that kind of thing can really accelerate the process. But yeah, it's nice to not feel so like assaulted, or like I don't need to feel on guard about what I might feel. I don't need to manage what I might feel. I don't need to avoid what I might feel. Sometimes I do, like there's habit energies that still happen for sure, of avoidance or distraction or whatever. But more and more I see that's not really necessary. And sometimes I might touch really deeply into something, and then the habit energy will kind of like backlash and really like, well, let's doom scroll for 4 hours or something. And I noticed that, and I'm like, okay, that happened. All right, let's keep going. But yeah, it is getting overall much better, and really grateful.